Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mac and Jack Sports Show, Thursday edition, as we bring you all the news from the weekend, as this is our first show during the week as we run Thursday through Sunday. Friday is our Friday edition, of course. Saturday, we have our debate show, and Sunday, we have our This Week in Sports, which will be changed when the NFL starts officially to the big football show, where we have our two-time legend, Jim Jeffcoat, who joins us. So we have a lot of great shows, folks. Tune in when you can and check us out. So, Jack, you know, a lot of things happened in Major League Baseball over this weekend. The Yankees bounced back after a 4-game losing streak to beat the Braves, come from behind. So after their 4-game losing streak, I think it's been their longest in a long time. They do go 5-5. They're 62-26 right now, Jack. What are your thoughts on the Yankees? Do you think that they could have another 4-game losing streak?
Was it a 4-game losing streak, Mac? I mean, this is early in the morning. I think maybe you're off.
I think they told me, they said that it was.
No, I don't think it was a 4. No, I don't think it was a 4-game losing streak. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I mean, I was out last night watching the Long Island Ducks play, keeping note of the Yankees score the night before. I mean, wow, leading 3-0 against the lowly Cincinnati Reds, and then they blow that lead as the Reds score 4 in the 9th inning. But last night, losing most of the way, came back, won in extra innings. So teams are going to hit bumps in the road all year long, and teams are going to surge. That's why, I mean, you can't give up on a team too early, but you can't get too high on a team too early. And it's not that early. We're at the midway point, essentially. Yep. I mean, look at this Seattle Mariners. We had a debate, a week and a half ago. And one of the questions was, who's been the most disappointing team in baseball to you? And I think the team I had was the Seattle Mariners. Okay. Right. Since then, they've won 10 in a row. And if the season ended today, I think they'd be tied for the last playoff spot. So much for disappointing. Now they're the type of team I thought they were going to be. But if I'd given up on them completely, yeah, they wouldn't. But at that point, they were the most disappointing. I mean, if I told you a few weeks ago one of the worst teams in baseball was the Baltimore Orioles, you'd probably nod your head. You'd say, yeah. I mean, they've been competitive in games, but they're losers year after year. They've also won 10 in a row. And as crazy as it seems, the Orioles are 1 game over 500 and just 2 games out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
The Orioles are contenders, legitimate contenders, if you really think they have the talent to sustain it. Okay? Keep in mind, we're in it for the long haul. I know you revoked my New York Yankee card. It's all revoked. I understand that. But, okay, you may have revoked it a little too soon. I mean, before the year's over, maybe the Yankees hit a terrible patch. But they're not going to be. In any event, the Yankees are going to wind up better than I thought they're going to be no matter what. Okay? But the point is, surprises are going to happen. Teams are going to move up, down, up, down. The Phillies fired Joe Girardi. They start winning. They become a contender. And a lot more is going to happen before the season's out. But with that, this is a good segue into what the major league standings.
Well, if you look at it, Jack, right now, everybody and one of the 2 teams I talked about were the Reds and the Blue Jays, because everybody said they had the best roster on paper. I disagree with that.
The Reds and the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays, yeah. I said the Reds were my worst team.
Oh, Reds' worst team.
Right. But I threw the Blue Jays in there for a little bit of thought-provoking, because everybody thought the Blue Jays had the best roster in baseball. I disagreed with it. I thought Boston really had the best roster, pitching, hitting, defensively. I could match their roster up against the Blue Jays any day of the week. And the Yankees, they're good. They're very good. And they jumped out to a quick lead. Good for them. So you got the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox virtually in a second place tie. And as you said, look, the Orioles are alive, Jack. That is unbelievable to me. I'm so happy for them. I hope they don't trade away everybody. I hope they keep their core, sign these players, invest some money, and let's see if the Orioles can, put a core together like the Yankees kind of did way back when.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about the Red Sox having a better roster than the Blue Jays. I mean, I don't know about that. You can make an argument. Bottom line is where the teams wind up. The Blue Jays just made a very bold move. They fired their manager, Charlie Montoyo. Yeah. And the Blue Jays fired him with being over 500, having a winning record, but barely clinging on to a playoff position of being just on the cusp at the present time. And that's a bold move. It's not like their team is losing like 6-7 games out of a playoff position. So obviously they feel the team has underperformed. And you want to know something? They have underperformed. The Blue Jays have been very disappointing. The Blue Jays have been my pick. They were my pick this year to win the World Series. And I'm going to stick with the Blue Jays to get it together and win the World Series.
It's not over,
just the same way I'm going to tell you for the 88th time, and they won 88 games last year. I stuck with the Atlanta Braves all last season to win it, and they were playing the same way the Blue Jays are now until the end of the year, where they started finally putting some wins together. It's going to be hard to tell. A lot of teams are bunched up together. You have in certain teams like the AL Central, a team like Minnesota, who's nearly in first place by default because everyone behind them is, not a good quality team. The Guardians.
Except for maybe Cleveland. Cleveland's okay.
I don't think so. I think the White Sox are more of a threat if anyone's going to catch the Twins.
Yeah, if they get rid of La Russa, maybe.
But I'm not a La Russa fan. I mean, that guy is like.
Jack, as we talked before, right? There's two different parts of the season. You got the regular season, and then you got postseason. It's divided that way on purpose. So, you can win 110 games, and you should be proud of that, even if you don't make it through the postseason. And the Braves should be very proud of what they did last year, pulling together, getting everything together at the right time to make that run, which I'm impressed with both of them. So you never know, Jack. Toronto might turn it on in the postseason. You don't know.
You don't know. That's the whole thing. And fans. I mean, fans. I hate to say it because fans make our show, Mac. They watch our show. They don't want to be insulted. But fans are very fickle.
Yeah.
I hate saying, and the media is maybe worse than the fans. So let me go a step further. Media could be a lot worse than the fans because media comes up with this hypothetical nonsense. If you recall, Mac, before the season started, the off-season, spring training, I mean, the media was putting down Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman the whole time. Right now, no one is putting down Aaron Boone. No one's putting down Brian Cashman. You want to know why, Mac? Because they can't. They want to, but they can't. Because the Yankees are winning. But I can assure you that after the trade deadline, if the Yankees suddenly have some issues and get eliminated in the postseason, fans are going to lambaste Brian Cashman for failing to address certain things. What's he supposed to address? Starting pitching's been great. Bullpen's been great. The bench has been excellent. He's made great moves. Aaron Boone has made great moves.
Yeah.
But all at the end of the day, the Yankees are going to be remembered by, as cruel and harsh as it is, what goes on in the postseason. The Mets are going to be given more of a pass than the Yankees, Mac, because they haven't been to the postseason for a while. Met fans are thirsting for the postseason. Yankee fans are used to the postseason. Yankees getting to the postseason, isn't a big deal. It's to be expected. It's not considered an accomplishment in itself for the Yankee fans, their team getting to the postseason. But the Mets have had so many disappointments. If they get to the postseason, even if they get eliminated in the first round, Met fans are going to consider it progress. They're going to consider it an acceptable season. And they also know Steve Cohen is going to spend in the off season.
Well, one question with that, Jack. One question with that. You put down the Lindor contract terribly. Right now, he's Golden Glove. He's in the All-Star.
No, he wasn't He wasn't picked for the All-Star team.
I think he's automatically in. I think he's already in.
No, Jack. He's not in. No.
Well, he will be. Right now, he's a Golden Glover. He leads the league in average.
How's it Golden Glove? But no one voted on the Golden Glove Award, Mac.
Yes,
You're making him. He's a Mac Golden Glover.
Jack, I'm saying before he got to the Mets, he was a Golden Glover, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Times.
So this year, he looks like he's going to be another Golden Glover. He's hitting a better percentage than anyone in the league. Leads the league in home runs, Jack. Are you going to take it back?
Well, he's hitting a better percentage too. But no, I think it's a stupid contract that Lindor was given. It's an idiotic contract. And let me tell you something, Mac. It's a 10-year contract that he's given. I didn't say Lindor was going to be bad all 10 years. He was going to be good a few years in the contract. The first few years of the contract, I expected him to be productive. It's not the beginning of the contract that you talk to someone about. It's the back end of all these contracts. Listen, whoever Aaron Judge signs with next year, he's going to be really good next year. He might be great next year. He might be great the year after. But you give him a 10-year deal, Mac, he might be excellent the first 6 years. Then the next 4 years, you're paying him money that you're way overpaying him. You're hampering your team. It's always the back end of these contracts. Listen, we don't have evidence yet how Lindor is going to do over the 10 years of his contract. All we can do is look at other players who were given these insane contracts. We can look at Albert Pujols getting his contract from the Cardinals. Do you think the Angels were happy with that, the way it turned out, especially the back end?
Before we go down that road again, let's talk about the contract with Lindor. Steve Cohen did not pay him. He's not paying him all that. It's front-loaded, Jack. The first 3 years are front-loaded with most of his money. It then tails off over the next, the rest of the contract.
I don't know about that. I don't know the specifics.
Check it out, Jack. I'm telling you. He front-loaded like they're going to do with Judge. They front-loaded his contract for the first 3 years. This is where he gets his guaranteed money. This is where he makes his most money. Then it tails off over the next part of the years, where it even goes to a team option, whether they want to drop him or not. So check out the contract, Jack. What I saw was his and Aaron Judge's contract that's going to be, it's going to be presented to him is very front loaded. So if Lindor goes to the World Series, is the MVP and all that stuff, would that 3 years be worth it?
Could I tell you something? Not what you're telling me, Mac, is inaccurate. It's not front-loaded to that extent. Completely inaccurate. He's getting $31 million a year for 10 years. I don't even believe it's front-loaded at all. The team has no – you know what the team option they might have on him? After 10 years for an 11th year, the team might have a team option, which is meaningless at that point.
I know you haven't checked out the contract details, Jack.
I know the contract.
You don't. You just said you don't know the contract. You just said you know that it's virtually.
He's getting $31 million a year. It was actually for 11 years, right? $341 million total he was getting for 11 years. They signed it 1 year before he could become a free agent last year.
Jack, you wore me out. You believe what you want to believe.
Lindor has been excellent this year, but he hasn't been great. He's been excellent. But let me go a step further. For what Lindor's given you, as good as he's been, That's not a $31 million a year player, that shortstop, for what he's producing. It's more like a $20 million player that's
Jack,
15 to 20 million
Jack,
for what he's
Jack,
actually producing. Lindor's not a superstar.
Jack.
They're paying him superstar money. He is not a superstar
he's
at this
playing.
point.
He's playing
He's
like
not
a
been playing like a
He's
superstar.
been playing like a superstar this year. Anyway, Jack, as I said, you wore me out. So I'm just gonna stick to my guns. You stick to your guns, and we'll go from there. So let's talk about the AL Central. The Twins have been 5-5 over the last 10 games. The Guardians have fallen off the map. They went 3-7. The White Sox are only 5-5. The only other team with a winning record in that division over the last 10 games, as far as the last 10 games, is the Royals. They're 6-4. So they're the only team out of the last 10 games that have a winning record, and that's a little crazy to me.
The Royals are so far back, 6-4 doesn't do it for them. 6-4 is like having a cake delivered to you, and you're starved. You want to eat it, and all you could get is the cherry off the top. It's not going to do much for you.
That's true. The Astros, 7-3 over the last 10 games. They're 57-30. The Mariners, as you said, have won 10 in a row. They are 47-42, making a nice run.
Yes.
Disappointing to me is the Angels, 39-50. No matter how great Ohtani is, 39-50, 2-8 over last.
Mac, you can't say the Angels are disappointing. When a team's like that every year, what else do you expect, Mac?
Well, you're always looking.
They're past disappointing already. They're past disappointing. Wait for them to become surprising, but they can't be disappointing anymore. We get this each year. We know the way the Angels operate. They tease us with big name players. They sign guys to big names to contracts, the whole bit. They win a few games and we think, oh, the Angels are set to make the playoff run. And they're a dysfunctional franchise.
It's true. It's true. I can't argue with you, Jack. I can't argue with you that.
Yeah.
So with
Anthony Rendon signs a 10-year deal from the Nationals. Very smart. Very smart.
So let's go over to the National League again. We'll talk about the West. I think we haven't hit on yet. The Dodgers, they're 8-2 in the last 10 games. They're 57
as a team.
57-30. The Padres, 4-6. They're dropping off 8.5 games back now. The Giants were 5-5. They're holding at 45-42. The Rockies, 5-5. I think they're pretty much out of it, and so is Arizona, who they looked kind of good in the beginning. But
Matt, the Rockies were out of it in the preseason. Come on, but you even mentioned the Rockies are now out of it. The Rockies were out of it before the year began. Come on. Let me tell you what I've been a little disappointed in. The Giants. Last I saw, they were barely above 500. And considering the Giants, they won 107 games last year, and they're coming back with the same team. Obviously, they overachieved last year, and that's always a danger for any team in any sport. When you exceed expectations by a lot one year, unfortunately, you've set the bar so high that if you can't duplicate it at least the following year, you're considered a failure. I could give an example. Even let's say the Jets in football. The Jets were a 4-13 last year. If this season the Jets go 7-10, Jet fans won't be happy, but they'll think it's progress. We won 3 more games. And then the following year, if the Jets go 10-7, fans are going to be even happier. Wow, we're up there. But let's say the Jets this year fool everyone, and they go like 12-5. That means next year, if they go 10-7, people are going to be maybe a little disappointed because they would have set the bar too high too quick, and that's what happened with the San Francisco Giants.
It's a great comparison. Great comparison. So let's hit the scores here if I can. Let's bring those up. So come back. me, baby. Come back to me. So yesterday, the Mariners beat the Nationals 6-4. The Mets beat the Braves 7-3, as we talked about. The Twins over the Brewers 4-1. The Royals beat the Tigers 5-2. The Giants beat the Diamondbacks 4-3. Mariners got by the Nationals 2-1. The Marlins beat the Pirates 5-4. The Yankees, of course, as we talked about, beat the Reds 7-6. The Blue Jays beat the Phillies 8-2. The White Sox beat the Guardians 2-1. The Rays beat the Red Sox 4-1. The Dodgers beat the Cardinals 7-6. The Rangers beat the Athletics 5-2. The Orioles beat the Cubs 7-1. Rockies over the Padres 10-6. The Angels beat the Astros 7-1. Any thoughts on the games last night?
Yeah, the Marlins are intriguing because the Marlins had a do-over a few years ago, and they had a do-over, under Derek Jeter when he was there running the baseball operations. And a couple of years ago, they actually made the playoffs in the shortened season and actually won a playoff series against the Cubs. Wow, doesn't that seem ages ago? The Cubs, one of the worst teams in baseball, win the playoffs too. But the Marlins only 3 games under 500 now. Has the Marlins young talent that they were hoping would be that they were hoping would develop, have they finally arrived? Are the Marlins ready to take that all of a sudden the surge forward and actually, contend, in the NL East, with the Braves, the Mets, the Phillies? Are they genuinely ready to join that pack? Are they still behind them? Because sooner or later, we're going to know with this Marlin team. We should know by this year, by next year, the latest. Either they take this step forward and they're contending for the NL East, or the Marlins are going to take a step backwards, and that young talent that they thought they were developing just isn't as good as they thought. And that sometimes happens with a franchise. You rebuild and you think you're developing all these good young players, but as it turns out, they're not really that good. And it lingers on and on and on for years.
Okay, so let's look at the games today. A lot of games today, Jack. We get the Marlins and the Pirates going at it. The Padres and the Rockies, the Yankees and the Reds, the Nationals and the Braves, Blue Jays, Royals, Red Sox, Rays, Guardians versus the Tigers, Dodgers at the Cardinals, White Sox at the Twins, the Rangers at the Mariners, Mets at the Cubs. I mean, we got a lot of games tonight. Astros at the Angels and the Braves at the Giants. So as I said, we got a lot of games that are going off today, which hopefully I'm awake for. So I want to watch some of those things, watch some of those games, or at least one of them tonight. I'd like to see the Yankees or maybe the Mets go. That would be my 2 favorite. Third would be the Red Sox.
Mets and Cubs, Yankees and Reds.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good game. I think that'd be a good game. So we'll see what happens with there. So let's kind of shift gears and talk a little bit about get rid of this crap here. Sorry. All right. So let's talk a little about the NHL trade deadline. If Carter comes in, we'll bring him in. The only thing I know about today, Jack, there's a lot of teams that need some help getting through the playoffs, that they can make big moves that would elevate their team for the playoffs. I'm not sure what those trades will be, but it's a big day for the NHL. That's all I really got for the NHL. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to comment on.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder how many trade deadlines are there. The trade deadline doesn't end now. I think it ends, but then it restarts at a certain point. Right. It's interesting that slipped under the radar a little bit. The Rangers, trading their backup goalie Georgiev to the Colorado Avalanche. Okay, so that's a heck of a deal. He's going to, a Stanley Cup winner, and he's going to be actually starting there. Right. His own goalie went, out in free agency. So it's, Yeah, I mean, interesting moves. I think the draft is the big thing in the NHL. And
I
it's a
agree.
real wild card because they draft a certain amount of players in Europe. And the guys that get drafted are essentially kids. They're 18 years old. And, for the most part, very, very young. And you're drafting them based on how they did in junior hockey, how they did against really other boys in large part.
Sure, sure.
But I'm sure, the scouts do follow their progress, from a younger age. But
The
I
biggest
mean,
news, I think the biggest news about the draft, which is pretty boring, as I said before, there's a lot of ways they could really step that up, was Philadelphia, the Flyers Pags team, where this young kid came over, has won so many championships in Europe, came over to Phillies, led them to a cup. Pags says, well, they're going to keep him down another year. I hope they don't, Jack. I hope they bring him up. I hope they let him get into games, get some experience, be part of that roster, and let him get experience that way instead of continuing playing against the G League. Right? I really think that hockey's got to make a better effort to get the younger guys out that are doing really well up to the major leagues there, and let them play a little bit and see what they got. I don't think they do that enough in hockey, Jack.
No, not at all. I'm taking a look now at some of the moves that what ESPN projected, certain of the teams, how they did in free agency, their view on that. And they put amongst the losers, it'll make Pax happy, the Philadelphia Flyers, the losers, during free agency. And they start off with this ESPN. The Flyer fans were frustrated with the direction of the team before free agency started. It's hard to imagine how they're feeling now. So I guess Pags feels the whole Flyer organization is dysfunctional, from ownership to the GM and the whole bit. He wants a complete do-over, but, easier said than done, with some of the teams. And I think what we're going to have when the season gets underway, it's going to be sectioned off that some teams who feel they have a chance of winning the Stanley Cup are going to want to make some bold moves, and they might trade some of their young talent for a certain veteran, like kind of the way Las Vegas this last year with the Buffalo Sabres, where they got Jack Eichel. But that didn't work out for Las Vegas last year. But it was a bold move to get like an impact player. There was talk of Eichel going to the Rangers, but the Rangers resisted giving some of their young talent away.
Well, I mean that could work out for the Rangers. Maybe it doesn't. We'll definitely find out during the year. Talk about a little bit. Let's see where we at. We're at 28:30. Let's come back. And we're going to talk a little bit about some NFL news, some soccer news, a little ESPN news. We're gonna mix it up, and we should have a lot of stuff to cover for you today, folks. So what I'm going to do right now, if I can get to my handy dandy things here. Let's see if I can bring that up. Where are you? All right, I got that up. So that's going to be half the battle. And let's see if I can bring commercials up. Boom. And I think we're going to get it going, Jack. Let's give it a shot.
What are we talking about? Commercial now?
Yeah, we're doing a commercial.
You want to give a commercial a shot? Man.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens.
Those of you who are bored with Mac and myself, this is your opportunity to change channels.
Thank you for
those who are bored with us. You get an opportunity. Once you come back, we're insulted. If you tune off from us while the show's going on, I'm highly insulted. But if you do it during commercial break, it's understandable. That's acceptable. So this is your opportunity. If you're going to leave, do it now. If you're going to stay with us, stay for the whole show.
If you serve honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVET members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects, ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
So let's do this. I don't want to do that. Let's do this. And let's let this rip.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
If you talk and they will hear you every single time.
Now we're getting killed.
Yeah, well, Kyle's not here.
How come?
Kicked off the team. Didn't Tim tell you? Kyle and some other kids got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, zero tolerance. He's out for the season.
Come on, it's the first offense, right?
That we know of. But why should that matter? He knew not to drink. I've made it clear to Matt, that's what we expect from him. What have you said to Tim?
Nothing really. You know, a lot of kids try it at this age, so.
Yeah, well, a lot of kids don't try it too. I'm not saying that Matt's going to be this perfect kid, but if I don't tell him what we expect and why he shouldn't drink, how's he going to know?
You think kids that age really listen?
They never admit it, Bill, but they hear more than you think.
Talk. They hear you. For more information about talking with kids about underage drinking, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Folks, and thanks for bearing with us through our audio thing that we do here every morning. We do videos later on to show our promotions and stuff like that we're affiliated with, and those will come back to you around 9:30 or so. So, Jack, I want to talk a little bit about soccer. And soccer really, over here in the United States, is very hard to follow, as we talked about before, because there's so many states with so many leagues and so many teams, and it's really hard to keep track of it. If I'm in here in the East Coast, I don't know what's going on in California. I hear news, but I really can't follow. And I think it's the same way everywhere, west to East Coast too. I think soccer would do itself a big favor of kind of organizing East Central, and West, sort of like other sports do, so that we could maybe follow the teams better, or follow the players better, or the news better. Right now, it's all over the place, and it's hard for me to get into it like I might want to, because I really don't know what's going on. So, really, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
No. I unmuted, Mac. I was listening to you. I was ready for when you turn it over for me. I wanted to be quick on the draw. I mean, I just unmuted my
What's your
thing
feeling?
ready. I will say this, okay? This is a problem that goes back a while to the 1970s. In the 1970s, soccer here in the United States suddenly took off because they had the great Pele, who came and played for the Cosmos. And he played for, the team in New Jersey. And they were called New York, of course, the New York Cosmos, but they played in the Meadowlands. And I went to a good number of games at the Meadowlands. And I remember Pele's first game drew 62,000. He would score 3 goals, and he played. And the great Pele was the absolute superstar of his sport. He was the Michael Jordan of soccer, the Muhammad Ali of boxing. That's what you got. You got the mega attraction. But so much of the crowd that came to those games were of European descent. I came as an American going there, regarding myself as an American, a young man who liked soccer. And the league went a few years, but it didn't quite go to the other level. People would still show up. I remember going to even a World Cup game that was played at the Meadowlands when it was in the United States, the World Cup in 1994. Soccer just isn't the sport that the American public, that took into their hearts the same way as baseball, football, basketball, and even to a lesser extent, hockey. I mean, and I think it may have had to do with the lack of scoring. I remember one game years ago, the Cosmos were playing this team from St. Louis, and St. Louis scored 2 early goals. And all St. Louis did for the whole rest of the game was lay back and clear the ball out. And I'm going to tell you something. You get a 2-goal lead in soccer, and if all you want to do is prevent the other team from scoring, there's little they can do, because you drop all your guys back and you're just clearing the ball out the whole time, not trying to attack yourself. It's like you have a wall of defense, there. And the only way soccer is going to gain in this country, maybe if they change the rules a little, they had some more 5-3 games. So many of the times you turn on the TV back, whether it's men's soccer, women's soccer, you see them that second half, and you're always seeing either 1-0 or 0-0.
Yeah.
There's a lack of scoring, and when we have the World Cup, it's exciting, the World Cup competition.
Right.
But I just think it's oversaturation. There's not enough room to follow each sport so avidly.
So, Jack, what do you I mean, I agree with you 100% here. What kind of rule could change soccer to make it more offensive and less defensive? Do they add another player, take another player away? No. What do you do?
One basic rule, just one basic rule only: eliminate offsides. Okay. Eliminate offsides. People love something that's long. And basketball, they love the half-court shot, right? That's like the most exciting playing basketball, the half-court heave. People love it. If a player hits a shot from half-court, everyone goes crazy. In football, it's the bomb, the long pass. They love the long pass down the field. In baseball, it's the home run. They love something long. Soccer with offsides keeps you in a restricted area. I understand the nature of the game. You're changing something that's been historical, that people are used to, they considered beauty. Why mess with the game? But you're in an entertainment era, Mac. Right. You're in an era of these YouTube stars getting the biggest followings. You're in an era where Jake Paul could headline a boxing show at Madison Square Garden. Where other competent fighters, no one would give a darn, and he's going to draw more than they will. True. That's the era you're living in. Wouldn't that be nice if you could send a long pass all the way the length of the field, a player sprinting for it. I mean, that's what you need to do, I believe. That and personalities. Like when I followed the Cosmos, it only wasn't Pele. It was Giorgio Chinaglia. It was Shep Messing, real flaky guy. I should try to get him on the show. Here's Shep Messing. Carlos Alberto, great defenseman. I mean, you had, Stevie Hunt from England. You had personalities, names, you were like excited about. And now, like, it's oversaturation. You'll have indoor soccer, the MLS, then you'll have the international team. The World Cup can create excitement.
Right.
If a team goes on a run, women's soccer is more interesting than men's soccer.
I agree.
The players and the personalities.
I agree, Jack. I definitely agree with that.
But part of it, too, that could be a turnoff, and I'll be honest, the women's soccer team was planning on protesting during the Olympics, marching into the stadium. Complete turnoff. I lost interest in the team. They're looking to make a political statement at the start of the Olympics. I didn't want to know from that. I didn't want to know from that at all. And what happened with their coach didn't allow them to march, and he called a practice. How convenient.
Right.
And
so Jack, let's talk a little bit. I mean, the only news that I really got out of soccer is the Real Madrid League. They have a sponsorship with cars as part of the endorsement, the BMW cars that they're giving these guys besides the other things. So that was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind driving a BMW. ESPN 2 has done something that I didn't think was possible. They have brought viewers into that area, maybe because, just the content, but it's become bigger than that now, Jack. You got the NHL, whose ratings have gone up. Women's softball is the number 2 watched sport in the country right now, Jack. That's been brought to the forefront.
Whoa, number 2 sport. Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Women's softball's the number 2 sport in the what?
And that has been viewed in the United States right now.
No, it's not. Not more. You don't have more people viewing women's softball than the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball.
Jack, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this is the off year of the NFL. The MLB is still plodding along. NBA's done for the most part. It's done. Right at this time, Jack. I'm not saying when the NFL starts up, that's not going to happen.
You mean women's softball drew more than Wimbledon, the tennis tournament? I find that hard to believe. Tennis has got a problem then, if was the case.
That I'm not sure of the quarterfinals on, but I know during the tournament it did. So I'm not sure what happened when they got to the quarterfinals and all that stuff. I'm not sure about that, Jack. So, but what I'm saying is they're playing on off season on every major sport, which is smart as heck, right? I mean, now where are you going to go if you want to see something? So I'm going through ESPN 2, and I stop and I watch the game, and it's a great game too. I mean, some great players, great hitting, great personalities, unbelievable catches. I'm like, wow, these girls are really good. And it's surprising that the men's softball, their teams are not even close. It's crazy to me, Jack. So anyway.
There's an oversaturation. Last night, I went to a Long Island Duck baseball game. The Long Island Ducks are something like in the Atlantic Conference or whatever. It's an independent league. They're not affiliated with any one particular major league team, but some of those players were previously in the big leagues. And what they're basically doing is hanging on to a dream of still maybe coming up to the big leagues once again. It's their kind of last gasp. And some of them are playing just for love of game. But they have a 6-month season. And the stadium seated approximately, I'd say, 6,000 people. And it was about half full on balance, I'd say. About half the seats were full. Let's say there was about 3,000 for argument's sake.
Right.
And you wonder, these guys are traveling for 6 months. How are they getting paid? Where were they staying? What motel? The Ducks played a team from Lexington, Kentucky. But the point I'm trying to make, Mac, it's an oversaturation. Why didn't the Ducks sell out 6,000 people, sell out the stadium? Because so much is going on every night. I could have headed to Yankee Stadium instead of seeing a minor league game,
Right.
or you could have did something else. It doesn't reflect poorly on the sport. We only have so much time to give these events, to watch them, to take an interest in it. And sometimes you get a personality that's going to elevate a sport. If you get, like it happened with the United States women's soccer team a while ago, you had players like Mia Hamm, Julie Fonde. We had personalities, and people took to them, and they would want to watch the personalities as much as, the team itself.
Right. And again, and the team won too. That's important. I mean, it's
The
great that
team won, and the team was outstanding.
Right. You got to win. You got to win. So, Jack, before we bounce into the NFL and some NFL news, I want to jump back to the MLB for a minute and get your opinion on the All-Star game. Now, me and you grew up, of course, it meant something, right? You wanted to, if you didn't win the World Series, you wanted to win at least something, right? The All-Star game. So now they have these home run derby, and Ohtani is the most incredible player I've ever seen in my life. I never saw Babe Ruth, so I can't even compare him. But when a guy can strike out batters and come in home runs and RBIs and play a good I've never seen nothing like this. Now, Ohtani, I think, is going to participate in the home run derby because it doesn't affect him during the year. And then you're going to have all these other guys, these newer guys, are going to jump in there, and you're going to have like 20 people doing this home run derby. What is your opinion on that?
It's funny you mentioned Ohtani early in the show. We talked about the Lindor contract, and I said how ludicrous 10-year contracts are. In just most cases, the vast majority. Ohtani's one guy, if I could sign him to a 10-year deal, I'd do it because he's a two-way player. Let's say he forgets how to pitch. He can always hit one of the two. If he could go forward one of the two, you could still get a lot of your money's worth. But what was your question?
Okay, so we got the home run derby coming up. Probably one of the most watched events during the.
Let me ask you a question, Mac. What is more anticipated? What do fans look more forward to, the home run derby or the game itself?
Of course, a home run derby to me, Jack. To me, it's a home run derby.
But that is pretty pathetic. And it's not your answer. Your answer's a good answer. It's right, and I think it's the right answer. So I'm not criticizing your answer, Mac. I think you nailed it. I think it's pathetic what's happened to the All-Star game in itself.
Agreed.
Because and the sad part about it is, unlike the NFL All-Star game, they don't have to ease off during a regular game. They can go all out. But you know what I think may have, because there's no injury concerns on the same wavelength as the NFL. But you know what I think diminished the All-Star game to a large degree? Interleague play. Because it used to be American League and National League, and lines were drawn. I was a big American League fan. Like I said on the past show, a bad part of my childhood was the All-Star game because I'd always root for the American League. They lost 19 out of 20 years. Can you imagine that? 20 years out of my life, and I only won once. And every year, I couldn't wait till next year. And I would be having my heart broken over and over and over. And as an adult, when it became meaningless to me, of course, the American League turned it around, and now they never lose.
Right.
Exactly. But there are always a little remnants of it. I still want the American League to win. But who cares? You think the players have any pride, American League against National League anymore?
Jack, I don't know. I don't think so. It's sure not like it was. I imagine you got a little pride playing for the American League, but free agency, it's really crazy now. So again, I'm going to ask you, Ohtani, does he break any records? All-Star? Do any of these young players got you excited about watching him hit home runs?
Ohtani's, let me tell you, Ohtani, you could call him the face of baseball right now.
Yes.
You know, pitching, hitting, what he means to, the Asian community, the whole package, what Ohtani means. And he gives the image. We don't know intimately what type of person he is, but he certainly gives the impression, and I hope it's 100% true, of being a good guy, clean-cut individual. He plays the game with joy.
Yeah,
and that's what we all did as kids. We played the game as joy. Ohtani reminds me of a little league in a man's body. He has so much fun, it seems, playing the game. And, but the Angels, I'll tell you, he said in the beginning of the year, Ohtani gave him a little bit of a warning. They better win. Like any other athlete, though, he doesn't like to lose. Between him and
Listen, I mean, I love
Trout as trade chips. Can you imagine
I guess the way baseball is played in Japan and where it's played here is totally different, I guess, because they seem to enjoy the game more than we do, right? Even that young kid that came over, I wanted to pick him up, the outfielder there, who's tearing it up with his team right now. I forget his name, Ishubi or something like that. It's Suzuki.
Oh, with the Cubs, yeah.
Yeah. He's tearing it up.
I don't know. He's been really good lately, but I don't know. He hasn't torn it up long term over the season.
Not yet,
but
Jack.
I wouldn't put him in Ohtani's category.
Oh no, not close. I'm not putting him
right.
I'm just saying
I wouldn't go there with that.
He would be a great outfielder for any team, especially the Yankees. I wanted him so bad to get this guy.
Yeah, he'd be better than Joey Gallo out there.
Yeah. Jack, you'd be better than Joey Gallo out there right now. So, folks, we're going to take our next break. We'll come back on the other side with some NFL news. And I got a crazy thing I want to talk to Jack about. He knows what it is already. You guys don't. But I think it's going to be pretty fun. Let's see if we can do that. This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride Experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
I mean, you can see right. I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guess any...
If you like the sweet science, get ready to talk boxing on the Gloved Fist podcast with top boxing writers Frank Latirzo and Jack Hirsch. Frank, a former amateur boxer out of Philadelphia, writes for NY Fights and can be seen on the Boxing Channel. Jack, an amateur boxer who competed in the New York Golden Gloves, was a 6-term president of the Boxing Writers Association. And now, here's Frank Latirzo and Jack Hirsch. It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
So yeah, folks, a few promos for the shows coming up, and of course, for the couple of sponsors that we do have on nessp.info. We do have a catering. Also, we have Fanatics on there. But what I wanted to do was show people what we do. Right, we're sponsoring, the DreamRide.org, which is a great organization, raised $18 million in its existence. Is dedicated to cancer research, the kids' lives, where they live and everything. So there's no bills for them to pay, the parents. And they also sponsor the Special Olympics. So they're all involved in kids, a little bit of adults, but mainly kids, and to help support them and try to get them a cure for this cancer. So a great organization. We love sponsoring them. Again, we have, listen, folks, I mean, if you don't come in on Monday night, YouTube and Roku, you're out of your mind. We have two of the best shows on YouTube as far as getting views. They knock it out of the park. You've got Frank Latirzo and Jack Hirsch on, Glove Fist, one of the best boxing shows I've ever seen in my life. And I've watched boxing shows for a long time, folks. These guys know their stuff, know what they're talking about, and will give you commentary like you can't believe. Start spreading the news after that with Dr. Paul and E.J. Fagan. They cover the Yankees like nothing else. These guys are unbelievable. They know everything about the history. They know everything about the current players. They know everything about the minor leagues. They cover every facet. And also, they don't just talk about Joe Gallo and Aaron Hicks. They don't just talk about that. They give you insight on who's coming up, who could possibly come up, and what the Yankees are going to do when playoff run comes around. So, Jack, both these shows, all these things, I want people to know about before we push on. So, I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we'll tune into YouTube. We'll give the DreamRide.org, and just check our website out, nessp.info, to get all the shows, all the video, all the links to their shows. Check them out. They're great shows, folks. So, Jack, let's get a little bit into the NFL. Of course, I mean, we can't really. Let's not go to Watson first. I want to go to an interesting story to me. So, the ex-governor, Nancy Drew, directed $1.1 million in welfare money to be returned to Brett Favre. It seems like she was collecting welfare and having him pay while she was collecting welfare the same amount. So she double dipped him. With her son they will be testifying against people that will be brought forward to this investigation. Her son once ran a nonprofit organization for the past 2 decades. So they think a lot of that stuff right now was leading into a huge scam. The Attorney General said it's the biggest scam since 2000, since 20 years. That's pretty impressive.
Wait. I didn't hear this story, Mac. I mean, so fill me in on it. Brett Favre, they're returning money to him?
Yes. They double dipped him, Jack. They were taking the welfare payments that he was making to them, and they went back. They said it was under certain contracts. So they went back, and Brett Favre paid them again for the welfare payments he already made.
Why did Brett Favre pay them again? Is it because he has so much money he didn't notice he paid the second time?
There was something about NDAs. There was something about contracts that were signed before this happened that Brett felt that he had to do it. And then, of course, his lawyer came and said, Brett, what are you doing, dude? You don't pay twice. So Brett Favre's lawyer is the one that filed suit with the state's attorney's office. And the state's attorney said, this is huge, Jack. And so it's incredible that you actually have a player getting money back and winning a
Because I
lawsuit,
thought Brett Favre had a certain issue that he had to deal with. I'm not clear what it was, but I had been reading up on it. So I don't want to comment on it because I'm not clear, what it was. Okay, listen. Good for him if he could get like a big check returned to him for Brett Favre. Good for Brett.
Yeah, why not? Why not the player once in a while get some money back? Of course, we got to talk about Watson. It's in the news constantly.
Mac, you're unbelievable. You said you don't want to talk about Watson, and then you make him the second story.
I don't want to, Jack. I really don't want to. I got to because it's news now. Because we got spring training coming.
You can't get enough of this Watson story, Mac. You're beating on it. You're going to be talking about it week 1 of the regular season coming up when we're making our predictions. Even if Watson will be in the lineup, you'll want to talk about the case.
I think
the NFL. What gets me too with the NFL, this has lingered on a long time. And Mac, and he didn't play last year. Shouldn't that retroactively count towards his suspension? The funny thing about it, if they suspended him last year for a whole year, he could have probably started this year clean. Okay, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
clean as far as the NFL went. I mean,
the premise is, Jack, as we talked about before, the team said they withheld him because of the charges. That's why they didn't play him. So the team is saying, hey, listen, we didn't play you because of all these things. And the NFL would have had to step in there if they tried to play him. So they didn't do that. And maybe they should have tried to let the NFL sort it out way back when, and we wouldn't be here. But right now, we're waiting on the NFL's word and what is going to be the reaction of Watson, whether he's in uniform during spring training or not. We'll find out. I know the Browns have got to be sweating right now.
I'll tell you, if this thing is not going to go away, at some point, Watson's going to have to play, okay? If he is guilty of what he's accused of, I mean, it didn't come under the category of the criminal investigation. He was clear that it would come in the civil case. And the NFL can only suspend them for so long. An indefinite suspension doesn't work for Watson because that's going to go on forever. Okay, right. An indefinite suspension. The players' union won't accept that. And whenever he comes back, it's still going to be an issue. Even if these few women who are left who didn't settle with him, let's say he can't settle with them. Let's say he gives them an exorbitant amount of money and they settle, like hypothetically.
Right.
It's still not going to go away. Even with the new, someone else might come out of nowhere, seeing there's a chance to make money. And
right.
I agree. It's never going, it's not going to go away. And like with all the cases that Watson has too, I don't know what the 20 women he settled with, whether it's a non-disclosure agreement or not. I just don't know. But if it's not non-disclosure, just the idea that they can talk about it, it's not going to go away any way you look at it, not for quite a long time at least.
Well, they are non-disclosure agreements, Jack, but how many people now have stepped forward and broke those non-disclosure agreements and told their story anyway? So you're right. I mean,
you can't. Then you have to return the money.
Right.
You have to return the money, and that's
right. But the lawyer could try to sue him. I mean, you're right. This could go on and on and on. I know they want this cleared up before they make a decision. So we'll see what happens with Watson and all that stuff. There's a little Jets and Giants news, and I don't remember this happening, Jack. The Jets and Giants are scheduled to scrimmage each other. First time since 2005. The details haven't been all worked out, but according to the Giants, it's a done deal. It's going to be at MetLife Stadium. They said there was a huge brawl. Jack, do you remember this huge brawl in 2005? I don't.
I'm going to tell. Yes, sometimes it happens with teams scrimmaging one another. The Jets and the Giants are going to be interesting. We were talking a little while ago about, we don't have the same feeling we used to have American League and National League because of interleague play. There's a little more of a feeling of AFC versus NFC, but basically it's the best team. But this is like New York, New Jersey, kind of bragging rights.
Right.
The two teams see one another in the news, so both teams want to be better than the other. It's not like the Jets are scrimmaging the Seattle Seahawks or the Giants are scrimmaging the Carolina Panthers. This is Jets and Giants. They're going to go at it pretty hard. But also, I mean, the players have to know to start fighting. You know, that's going to be unacceptable to start losing your cool. It takes away the purpose of the scrimmage. The purpose of the scrimmage is to try to simulate game conditions best way you can, but not all out. You know, you're not blocking your own player on your own team. You're going against someone on a different team. He's giving you a different look. When you go against your teammate every day, I believe you get used to his tendencies. You kind of know what he does after a while, and he knows what you do. But now you're scrimmaging with another team. You get a whole new look into things. And is it good or not? You know, I think that's a question we should ask Jim Jeffcoat. You know, maybe on Sunday when he comes on, that the Cowboys ever scrimmage other teams. Is it beneficial? Is it necessary?
Yeah, like the Oilers or whoever was down there, the team at the time. I mean, that would be a good question, Jeff.
The bragging rights to Texas.
Right, to Texas,
Yeah,
right. So, I mean, again, back to it. Do you remember seeing the Broad? I don't remember seeing the Broad yet.
I don't remember in particular, but I know it happens a lot with teams. Even teams that don't have a particular rivalry, things get out of hand. I think the players put out a little more in these scrimmages. I'm talking about the established players.
Sure.
The established players, when you're scrimmaging against your own teammates, some of the players know they're going to be starters. They know they're not losing their job. They're just kind of like fine-tuning their skills. That's all they're doing, getting ready for the season. But I think in some of these scrimmages, you want to send out a statement like, my team's better than yours. I'm better than you are. And I think they go at it a little extra hard. I don't think it's not like your normal team scrimmage. That's for sure.
So, Jack, let's jump over to Baker Mayfield. Of course, we all know he signed with the Panthers. He's getting a decent sized check. I think you're paying him half. You got Sam Darnold.
No. He guaranteed $18 million with the Browns. Browns traded him. Basically, the Panthers are paying him, I think, like $4.5 million.
Not even. Okay.
The Browns are eating $10.5 million or something like that. Are they paying him $3.5 million? Something like that. The Panthers. Baker is eating a reported $3.5 million, but he can make some of it up with the Panthers and incentives.
That's what I was talking about, Jack. I think total incentives before and depending on what the Browns, I think they sent him a draft choice or whatever, depending on what he does.
It'll be a fourth or fifth.
Right, and depending
fourth round choice if Baker plays a lot. A fifth round if he doesn't.
Right, and depending on incentives, from what I read, it could be close to half of what he made. So, let's just say let's just say for a second, he comes into camp. You got Sam Darnold there making 12. You got the young rookie that they want to play. They want to play this guy. I mean, Rule wants to play him. So, what do you do, Jack? I mean, how does this competition shake out? I think Baker might be a little bit better than both of these quarterbacks right now. Sam Darnold is not a bad quarterback, but this young quarterback's ready to take the reins. What do you do?
I'm going to tell you, there's a fourth quarterback who's not going to start, P.J. Walker. He was Matt Rule's college quarterback at Baylor, so he's not going to want to cut his college quarterback because there's a relationship. So he might put him on the practice squad, or this scenario could play out. If Baker Mayfield wins the job, maybe a team like the Seattle Seahawks, who have Drew Lock and Geno Smith, not the most appealing combination, they want a guy like a Sam Darnold. So maybe they trade him for a fourth-round draft choice. That's how they recoup their draft choice with Baker Mayfield. So they trade Sam Darnold, let's say, to Seattle, hypothetically, and P.J. Walker's your third string quarterback. Matt Corral, the rookie who they want to play and develop, becomes your backup.
Right.
So, I can see Darnold being dealt, and some team might want Darnold. Maybe even a contender might want him as a backup, feeling he's good enough to step in. They still might like his potential. So I have a feeling Sam Darnold might conceivably move if cap considerations are an issue. That's always an issue with what he's making. So I'm not sure whether that can be worked out, but teams have a way of sometimes working it out. Baker Mayfield still has to win the job. Matt Corral is not winning the job. I mean, I'll be stunned if he comes in second round draft choice and he beats out both Mayfield and Darnold, because Matt Corral is a rookie, so they're going to want him to learn, ease him in. They might want him to be first backup. That's conceivable, like I mentioned. And P.J. Walker doesn't have that highest ceiling. He's just the coach's guy, so they're going to want to keep – they won't keep four quarterbacks on the active roster at the same time. One guy goes to the practice squad, probably P.J. It's Baker's job to lose, actually, not Darnold's. We're hearing this stuff. The Panthers say it's an open competition. Yeah, it's an open competition because you don't just give Baker Mayfield a job straight out. You want him to go there, show what he could do. It was Darnold's job last year. He couldn't hold on to it. Yeah. So why, so they're not hoping Darnold wins the job in preseason and Mayfield is his backup. They kind of want Mayfield to be a savior because there's kind of new energy in the building. The Panthers started the year 3-0 last year. Darnold was looking good. Mac was putting me down for saying, the Jets should have kept Darnold, and I said they shouldn't. And then from 3-0, they finished 5-11. They just fell apart. So it's Mayfield's job really to lose. Make no mistake about it.
I agree. But after the first three games, if they're having problems, if Mayfield can't do what he's supposed to do and Darnold doesn't, Matt Rule is under a tremendous amount of pressure to put that young kid in. And I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope he can sit back for 8 games or whatever, learn something, bring him in. I would think that would be the best position for him to be in.
But he can't afford. You said it best, Matt, just now. That Matt Rule, the coach, the Panther coach, is under a lot of pressure. He doesn't have the latitude to develop a rookie quarterback. He's got to win, okay? Unless he feels the rookie quarterback can step in and be another Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert and win games immediately, he can't just develop a quarterback in that sense. So that's why he's got to play the guy who gives him the best chance of winning. It's not like a big picture thing. And that would be, and that would be either Mayfield or Darnold, and and we're going to see the way it plays out. It's intriguing, the 49er quarterback situation. Everyone keeps looking, Jimmy Garoppolo. Go ahead.
Listen, Carlos, with some great comments. I agree with every comment he made so far as Baker Mayfield goes. So let's talk a little bit about San Francisco, Seattle. There's a lot of things that are going there. Was there a big story about Metcalf signing, Jack, that I missed? I was out. Yes.
No. DK Metcalf, he wants his new big shiny contract. I don't see the sense in Seattle giving it to him.
No.
But with that said, if Seattle was planning on trading Metcalf, don't you think they would have done it before the draft? He was linked to the Jets. A lot of people thought.
I think they're waiting for the biggest offer, Jack, is what I think they're.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought the Jets might give the 10th overall pick in the draft, their second selection, to the Seahawks and sign Metcalf. Instead, they drafted Garrett Wilson, the rookie. He's a rookie this year, obviously being drafted out of Ohio State, who has great acrobatic skills, who might turn out to be an outstanding receiver in the league. In Metcalf, you're getting the sure thing, but you also know you're paying the sure big bucks. And I think teams would rather get a rookie, pay a rookie contract, have more flexibility under the cap. And then when the player gets established, then they have a major decision, pay him the big bucks and move on from him. And I think it all depends whether or not they're a contender or not. If they're contender, and they could go to the Super Bowl, yeah, I mean, they're liable to give the receiver the major contract. But Seattle, they're not going anywhere this year, Mac. So why would they want to pay DK Metcalf, the big money? It just doesn't make sense.
I don't think they do, Jack. Again, I think they've been waiting till last minute. The highest bidder. He's been linked to Green Bay. As you said, he was linked to the Jets. He's been linked to a few teams. We'll see what happens.
Linked to the Jets was
right. No was linked to the Jets. But you never know what could happen. I mean, some team could offer a crazy amount of money for this guy, like they have.
No, not money for him. A team would have to offer the Seahawks some really good draft choices.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about
if they offered like a first and second round draft choice. Yes, Seattle might move on from him, but I'm
talking, Jack. The extension he's going to have to sign with a new team is going to be crazy money. That's going to be
new
crazy.
Teams. But let me tell you, there could be dissension. Sometimes be careful what you wish for. Just because DK Metcalf goes to a new team, they don't have to sign him to any type of extension, any new contract at all. Look at the case of Jamal Adams. He didn't get the contract he wanted from the Jets. They didn't want to invest all that money in him.
Right. I agree.
Jamal Adams was an elite safety at his best. He's elite. So they traded him to Seattle, and Seattle didn't sign him to a contract in the beginning. Good morning, Jason. They made Jamal Adams wait. And Jamal Adams could have waited with the Jets the same way, and the Jets took the draft picks, and it's, worked out. But when Seattle made the deal, they were a contender. Yeah, they felt they were a contender. Now they have Jamal Adams, great player, great safety, covers sideline to sideline, but they're not a contender. They would be better off with their draft picks because they're starting over, basically, it seems.
To me, that was one of the worst trades I've ever seen. I
won't go that far. Jamal Adams is elite. I got to give him his. He's elite.
I'm not saying that Jamal Adams isn't great, Jack. I'm saying the amount of draft picks they gave up for Jamal.
Well, it's
what's ridiculous. I mean, you could talk Herschel Walker with that was just a boatload that has continued to grow in different aspects of the Jets too. It's ridiculous.
It wasn't a boatload. They got a couple of number ones in there. Yeah, so it was. No, listen, it paid up. It was a good deal for the Jets if Seattle had went to the Super Bowl. Right. And Jamal Adams played a big part in it. Then it's a great deal for Seattle, no matter what you gave up. But the whole thing is you have to, at the end, win. The Rams gave away all their draft picks, it seemed, but they won the Super Bowl. So it paid off.
One of the picks they got from Jamal Adams has been traded for like another 2 picks. I mean, this is a gift that just keeps on giving, Jack. So let's talk a little bit about what a couple comments from Carlos. I agree with him all the way up to here. The NFL already has a minor league system. I don't know why you can't get.
They have it. College football is their minor league.
They don't need a minor league system. And if they want these players to go develop somewhere else, then maybe they send them to another spring league. I think the NFL would be foolish to pay all that money to start a G League that nobody's going to watch and that nobody cares about. They already that would be crazy. So
we have it, Mac. It's called the USFL.
I agree.
I mean, I can wait, guys. But from what I understand, anyone playing for the USFL, I could be wrong here, but from what I understand, they have to be in the USFL 2 years. They can't just pick up and leave and go to the NFL whenever they want. They're contractually bound.
Right.
But the contract eventually runs out, and then they can sign with an NFL team. that's the minor league system,
and
the USFL.
And Jack, as you
stated, strong minor league system.
As you have stated, a couple offensive linemen and defensive linemen have been signed by the NFL. So it does work to a point. But this is different than having an all-star, all high-profile player. It doesn't work. So, Jack, let's talk a little bit, excuse me, about a little bit of other news. The 49ers have 2 players that are free to negotiate. They let Jimmy Garoppolo negotiate. They've been giving him permission. They're trying to sign Samuel Adams. He wants out. I mean, what? I mean,
Deebo Samuel.
What?
Deebo Samuel, right?
Yeah, sorry. Deebo Samuel.
Deebo.
He wants out. What is the 49er GM?
Well, they didn't give him permission. No, they didn't give Deebo permission.
Oh, I know they haven't, but he still wants out. So,
he still wants out. Yeah, and I like what the 49ers are doing. I like kind of what they're doing. They see they can't win without Deebo. Right. They can't win without Deebo, and they're not trading him. They're making him show up to camp, and Deebo has to show up. Otherwise, he's going to lose money. Okay? He's going to lose money, and players don't want to show up. And players don't want to not show up if they're going to lose money. And it's different with Garoppolo because Garoppolo is a good soldier. He'd like to get traded, but Garoppolo's attitude is amazing. He says, okay, if you don't trade me, I'm under contract to you. I'm still going to come and I'm going to give you 100% of what I got without complaining, but I'd like to be traded elsewhere, but I'm not going to vent about it. It's what it is. You know the way I feel. He's being a pro's pro, Garoppolo. He's that way. Amazing in this day and age of spoiled athletes. Garoppolo is what a great example he is. Deebo, let's see what goes down with Deebo because his complaining took place in the offseason. If Deebo comes and he's a poison in the locker room, and he's only making half of an effort and going through the motions, that's bad. That's bad. But the Niners have come to the conclusion that Deebo, who's an all-purpose receiver, back. You could use him in so many schemes. They feel they need him to win. They just flat out don't want to trade him.
Yeah.
And they don't have to trade him. And Deebo has a choice. You could retire. Fine. If you don't want to play, then you want to retire. No one should criticize you. That's your right. But he's not going to force the issue with the team. And the team isn't just going to trade him else. So if they were going to trade him once again like DK Metcalf, they would have done it before the draft because he was wanting out before the draft. And he wants a new I don't know. Is it the contract with the Niners? Is he unhappy with the organization? We don't know exactly.
How much longer does he have, Jack, on that contract? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe he does have a couple of years. Yes, I believe. Yeah.
Let's get a little bit more NFL news in here. I hate it when people attack other people's spouses and what they say and everything and I think they would be smart to stay off Twitter, right? I think if I had a spouse, I would say, listen, turn that Twitter off. Don't even go there. Don't make a comment. Don't say something that will make you look any kind of way because whatever you say is going to be taken out of context by somebody, right? So when this girlfriend kind of speaks up for the conservatives and stuff, and all this stuff comes down on her. And if I was far, I would probably, have a long talk with this girl. She's just got to stay away from it.
If you were who?
If I was Aaron Rodgers right now, I would have a serious talk with my girlfriend and tell her she's got to put that machine down and leave it alone.
You have to control. You make a good point. Family members are sometimes going to speak up, and the athlete doesn't know about it. And he or she is sometimes blindsided by a family member making a comment. And what you have to do sometimes is just disown the comment. Make it clear. Shouldn't have gone on. I don't agree. I'm sorry about it. Remember when the Patriots lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl? Tom Brady's wife, Giselle, said something to the effect, my husband, he can only throw the ball. He can't catch it. People took it as her putting down Wes Welker, his receiver, and she didn't, and she felt bad about it. She felt terrible because she knew Wes Welker, and she said, "No, I didn't mean to put Wes down," who she obviously liked personally. And Tom Brady said, lady told his wife Giselle, "You can't say things like that. You know, it comes across bad." And Wes Welker handled it well, saying, "I know the type of person she is." Okay, they got by that. But then you take the case of Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad. We were talking about Baker Mayfield before. He put down Baker Mayfield when they were both with the Browns, saying, "Oh, he doesn't get the ball to his son, the right way." And Odell Beckham Jr. just kept his mouth shut on it. That means you're going along with the statement.
I agree.
You got to disown these statements. You got to control family members too by telling them, I don't want you going on social media saying anything negative about anyone. If you want to say something positive about me, okay, but it can't reflect negatively on anyone else. And if it ever does, the athlete has got to step forward and disown those statements very firmly so people know they don't back them up.
I just know, when you have a spouse and she may have different opinions than you, males and females or whatever, they have different opinions at home, and it's just the way it is, and you kind of put up with it. But you can't just go out there today. You say whatever you disagree with me, that's fine.
Well,
don't post nothing.
Let me tell you, if social media was around the time Ron Standa challenged Joe Frazier for the World Heavyweight Championship, they would have had a field day because they asked Standa's wife, Darlene, what she thinks of her husband's chances against Smoking Joe in the title bout. And she said, "You don't enter a Volkswagen in the Indianapolis 500.
Right.
That's what she thought of her husband's chances. And that line, that would have exploded all over social media.
Oh, that would have been crazy today. They would have been going to Standa. That's what your wife thinks. This. Yeah, they would have said, "Oh, she don't think Volkswagen is a good car." Is that what you're saying? I mean, that would have been.
Yeah, whatever. The Volkswagen, the makers would have gotten involved.
Oh, yeah, it would have been a total. It would have been a total.
It would have been, yeah.
So the NFL has a contract, I think, with Coors Light, and it's kind of a sealed deal. You're not supposed to do any other beer commercials. Anybody's not supposed to be going on. So Patrick Mahomes found a way around it, Jack. He went to Coors, period. So he also, they're promoting Coors Light, but since, they're not allowed to appear in commercials drinking, beer or directly endorsing beer. So anyway, Coors Light, Patrick Mahomes found a way around this detail. A clever new commercial with the star quarterback dropped Tuesday and immediately acknowledged Holmes cannot endorse an alcoholic product. However, the spot isn't for Coors Light beer. It's for actual Coors Light, as in a flashlight. But the branding for Coors Light was prominent, aggressive throughout the 1-minute ad, accomplishing just what the company wanted. The commercial also features some of the signature promo line that Coors uses in its commercials. Flashlight, high quality steel, so it feels as cold as the Rocky Mountains. So he's not actually drinking the beer, but he's bringing in to the commercial what they really didn't want, the players really didn't want to do. So good for him. Good for Patrick Mahomes to find his way around, working around the details. So Jack, let's get to the fun part of the show. I don't know how long this is going to last because I don't know how interested you are in or the viewers will be, but I'm very interested in it. And this has to do, believe it or not, with the celebration of the Bull Run that happens every 7th, I think it is, of July, right? And what?
Don't look towards me for any commentary on the running of the Bulls, Mac. Let me be upfront. I know nothing about it. I know what it's about, and I would be personally I would, at any point in my life, even when I was running marathons and I was lightning quick when I was younger, I would have been too scared to participate, Matt.
Well, I agree with you, and so would I, Jack. So the running of the bulls, of course, happens in Spain, and it originally came about. It was a religious thing, Jack. Believe it or not, it was, as before they accepted some type of God. They were all over the place, right? They used animal spirits, sort of like the Indians did, as their partner to make their way through lives. Bears, deers, eagles, birds, whatever. And the bull has always been around. So in Spain, they adopted the bull, many people, as their, religious helper. So way before Christ, this is way 2,000 years before Christ, this thing has been happening, which again is very exciting to me, because I didn't think anybody would, accept the bull as their helper. So at the time, it was very expensive to bring in the bulls by sea or train. It cost a lot. So what they did was they got this one guy who was a volunteer, I guess, or a guy that was supposed to bring them to auction. He was very fast. And what they would do, he would stand there. They would open the gates to all these bulls that were going to be sold, and he'd run like hell. And sometimes he'd make it, and sometimes he wouldn't. And as this is going on for years, of course, the person would see this and they jump in. They want to run with the bulls too, right? They want this thing. And it's grown into a massive event that people just can't. I can't get enough. It comes on, it's on. I watch it. I can't get enough of people actually running with wild animals. And I actually went on line and asked if anybody had ever seen this recently, from America, or participated in it, because a lot of people go over there and to watch this event, believe it or not. So anyway, the only person that I know that said he had been there was Pags, and this was like some 20 years ago when he was in there for arm wrestling or something, or some kind of thing he was promoting. He went over during the day and watched it. And of course, he didn't participate either. So, Jack, I mean, what do you make of this? This is one of the craziest events I have ever seen in my life, but I can't stop watching it.
It is, Mac. I kind of wonder too, how many people understand what the event is about. You explained it. I think the vast majority of people treat the running of the bulls the way they would a national holiday. Yeah. A national holiday, they think of it, I don't have to work. I have a day off. That's the whole thing about it. Because I've known people who have very strong political views about things, and if it's the opposing side can get them a day off from work, they're not going to argue against the opposing side because they're getting a day off.
Sure.
For certain holidays. So, but I think with the running of the bulls, I think people entered because they love the buzz. They love that little element of danger. They love to say they flirted with danger. From what I'd like to know is what has been the casualty rate over the years.
I know, right?
That's what I kind of like to know. I get the impression, it hasn't been too high at all. I don't want to say it's a safe event to be in, but you don't hear about people getting mauled and badly hurt, because if you did, I think they would discontinue the event.
I think one day 6 people got killed and like 20 injured, but the bull went into the store. I mean, you're running by in the stores and there are people standing there watching that, and the bull got distracted and ran headfirst right into the store. Nobody expected that. And this is how strong these guys are. These people are crazy. I'm getting some numbers for you right now, Jack. Okay? So 16 people have been killed in bull runs in Pampton since 1910. The last date of
16 in 1910. Okay.
Occurred when a man was gored in the neck What a way to die.
Well, 16 people in 112 years.
Not bad.
No,
Right.
not, I mean, it's 16 too many, obviously, but percentage-wise, if you want to compare it to, let's say, boxing, for example, I mean, boxing dwarfs it in fatalities, and no one is talking anymore about doing away with the sport of boxing. So, yeah, it's exciting, but I think it's a case of people like to flirt with danger, do something extraordinary. You know, when marathoning started becoming really, really popular and the running boom started after Frank Shorter won the Olympic marathon in the 1972 Olympics, it was a big thing in the 1980s to just run a marathon, to complete it. It gave people who were non-runners took it up because they wanted to flirt with something extraordinary, more than flirt with it, accomplish something they thought was extraordinary. Oh, I ran a full marathon, but then when it's been around a while, it's still a big thing, but not as big as the early years. But
Right.
running with the Bulls, it's like bragging rights. I could say I did running with the Bulls. Wow, I like flirted with something, you know, and I did something extraordinary. I flirted with real danger doing something extraordinary.
Sure.
And just like people parachute from all the way up there and come down, they want to do they want to flirt with that type of danger, but they want the percentages to be in their favor, where the odds are very strong they'll come out of it okay, but they flirt with, you know, that little bit of danger, kind of feeling they know they'll be safe.
So let's talk about the event itself. The first rocket is set off at 8 a.m. to alert the corral gate is open. So when you hear that rocket, you know it's coming. A second rocket signals that all 6 bulls have been released. The third rockets are signals the herd has now entered. So the whole herd is coming then. The more steers that follow the herd encourage any reluctant bulls to continue along the route. The function of the steers who run the route daily is to guide the bulls to the bull ring. The average speed of the herd is 50 miles per hour, Jack. That's moving. The length of the run
is quick, Mac. That's a 4-minute mile. No one's going to keep up with that but an Olympian.
That's crazy, right? The average speed of the herd, like I said, is 50 miles per hour. It's 95.7 yards. It goes through 4 streets, the old part of the city, the town hall square, Telefonica, which is I guess an office. The fastest part is up Santo Domingo across the town hall squares, but the bulls often get separated as they slow down. One or more would slip, you know, going to turn around and go somewhere else, resulting in the anti-slip surfacing so that the bulls don't fall. Of course, the runners are not permitted in the first 50 meters to, I guess, run. I guess they got to go in after. So injuries and fatalities, Jack, between 50 and 100 people are injured during the run. Not all injuries required patients to the hospital. 50 people were taken by ambulance to the Pampeluna Hospital, with which is nearby. So, let's see. 6 participants were gored along the festival. Only 4 runners were injured by the horns. They gored people in 2011, 2010, 2010, and 2009. One of them was killed, as I said. So most runners are male, but women have jumped into this too, Jack. So
yeah.
They want to get
Mac, what happened? They give the runners a nice head start. I would have to feel a nice head start. The bulls not on top of them. What happens in this day of modern athletes? They pull a hammy. They pull a hamstring running from the bulls. I mean, is there a way they can go off to the side into the crowd and just Because the best thing would be to run along the side where the crowd is and maybe just duck into the crowd if the bull is catching up.
Unless the bull is chasing you, and then I don't
Can you
know.
imagine the bull is focused on? Oh, man.
It's on you. I mean, he just wants you. So, again, women are now doing this. Another major risk, of course, is piling up at the entrance of the bull ring. When the streets get narrow and the guys
piling up on what?
They're trying to get into the bull ring, Jack, and the entrance is small, so they start falling over each other. So they end up getting gored for that. I don't get this. Again, the Red Cross is nearby with medical posts. There are around 20 ambulances to have, to get people gored hospital right away. But some of these guys end up matadoring these bulls. Actually participate in the big event where the matadors are going after them. So I guess the best ones are the ones that make it through and grab the cape and are ready to rock. I guess that's the guys that are featured, and the bulls that are on top of them that want him and want that red cape are the other star of the show. Jack, it's crazy. Oh, man.
I'm going to tell you, it would be easy for me to say the whole thing makes no sense to participate in anything as crazy as that. But then again, someone could count and say, yeah, but you watch the Nathan's Coney Island eating contest. How much sense does it make to stuff your face with 70 hot dogs?
Right.
I mean, so yeah, I'm going to tell you, but I'm intrigued when I watch the clip of it. But whenever I see the highlights, Mac, that's all they basically have been showing. I mean, have you watched the whole thing? Because I've basically watched highlights, people running in the beginning, mass panic, frenzy.
Right.
That's what I noticed. And now I'm figuring, these people out of their minds.
And believe it or not, Jack, there is an actual dress code for this thing, right?
Yeah.
You got to wear white trousers, of course, to show the blood, I guess. The logos on shirts. There's, in the internet age, they also have someone highlighting photos right behind them and stuff. The center of the celebration. I don't understand, but wow. You got to get dressed up for this too.
Mac, wait. If you had the opportunity,
yes.
You were younger, when you had more bounce, would you have ever entered that? Would you have ever done the running with the bulls? Pax plans to do it next
Pax
year.
finally came in. I've been waiting for him to come in.
Oh, man. Why would Pax want to do it?
Why not?
mean, you know what I think? No. I think Pax is just trying to bring attention onto himself. I don't think it's a challenge for Pax. I think, maybe his teams in Philly might be, if the Eagles have an off year, the Sixers don't take it to another level. Things are lagging. So Pax needs to try to bring attention onto himself. So he's going to enter this contest.
So this is the biggest rule, Jack.
Oh, I like this. Oh, wow. Don't look back at the book.
Don't look back. Just keep running forward.
How can you not? Wait a second. You mean to tell me Pax isn't going to be curious where the bull is closing in on him? Pax isn't going to just look back at all. That's like telling a receiver not to look back to see where the quarterback's thrown. Just keep running forward.
Yes.
You got to look back. How can you, despite yourself, you got to take a peek back to see where the bull is.
I'm like, where is that guy? So
must wear white
pants and
red scarf.
You got to wear the red scarf.
Mac, you really blew it with this. You really blew it. Pax is obviously an authority on the running of the bulls. You're discussing it with me.
Well, I knew Pax would be in.
What knowledge? The only thing I know about it, I would be scared to do it. Pax knows the intimacy of this. Red scarves. I would come dressed. I wouldn't even think how I'd come dressed.
See, now you know, though, Jack.
I just know I'd have my running shoes on so I could move quickly. That's all I know.
Now you know if you decide next year to go run with the Bulls, what you have to do.
Well, I might watch it now. You did a good job, Mac. You convinced me. Next time it's on, I'm gonna watch it.
I gotta watch it from the beginning.
So bulls will run around you if you're running with them. That's a good idea. But the only problem is, I'd want to ask Pax. you don't start with the Bulls. So how are you running with them? You're ahead of them. They're catching up to you. Is there a way to duck into the crowd and then run behind the Bulls and watch the action? I wouldn't mind doing that. If I know the Bulls are ahead of me. Has there ever been a case of a Bull turning around because he gets annoyed someone's behind him?
I want to go back to the stable or something.
We got to discuss this more with Pags on.
Well, Jack, no, I want to
I might
discuss
discuss with him tomorrow.
You're entertaining me right now. So if you enter, you would enter at the time the Bulls have already gone. And
I would enter. I would get my official number. Then I would kind of ease into the crowd, and I will watch the Bulls run by me, and then I would go onto the course with my official number and run. It's not like a marathon. It's not like, Pax is going to have to correct me. We have some people who cheat in the marathons. They duck into a crowd now and then they, come back on the course. That famous runner, unfortunately, I hate mentioning a name, who cheated, Rosie Ruiz, the 1980 Boston Marathon. She didn't run the full course. She would, snuck onto the course. And they have checkpoints on film that never found her the checkpoints that confirmed that she was cheating. But I wonder with the running of the Bulls, you have to be ahead of them when it starts.
Right.
So you can't run on the side of them with, as far as, knowing the tendency of the Bulls, what they might do.
Right. Well, I think
that's their bull trainer. If a bull starts attacking someone, do they have these trainers on the course that get the bulls under control?
I don't know. I gotta watch it. See, Jack, what I'm gonna do next year, if Pags does go and do what he says, I want him to bring his crew with him, and I want this to go live.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Our YouTube, Northeast, everywhere. I think this would be huge. I think people would just watch this whole thing. So that's what I want. That's what I want Pags to do. If he's really going to do it next year, he says you have a football field lead, Pags, but it's Jackson.
But if the Bulls, if they're averaging a 4-minute mile, that football field lead is going to go very quickly. It's going to evaporate. I mean, if the Bulls can make up ground like that, I mean, give me a break. They'll make up that football field very quick.
And like you said, Jack, with the modern day athlete, they pull hammies all the time. When you pull a hamstring, I mean, do you crawl out? Do you get?
Well, how wide is the area too? Can you stay towards the sideline where you can duck into the side?
Right. Well,
people get caught by stopping and turning around. So you mean to tell me if you're running the whole time, the Bull's just going to pass you?
I don't know.
Oh, man, wouldn't that scare you? A Bull is just running by you?
Right, he looks at you.
And what happens if you trip and fall? Is the Bull going to stampede you? People get caught by stopping. Pags, you shouldn't do this, man.
What happens?
You got a family, Pags. You got all this going. You don't need this. You don't need this cheap thrill. I mean, rather than that, Pags, if we could talk you out of it, I could maybe speak to Byron Williams and Jim Jeffco. We could arrange for Pags to get hit crossing the middle or something, by a former player. So he could get his buzz that way. If we put him on the bottom of a pile or something.
Maybe some kind of practice, right? Some kind of practice.
No.
So Pags is going to do this.
Pags isn't fit. He's not a young man himself anymore.
Well, he's not old. He's not old. So it's not a wide. It's not a wide side. It's the walls of the buildings. You're running down this area, and as I said, when you get close to going in the arena, it gets really small. People end up falling over each other. So that's
man. I mean, it's how many people actually travel to this to specifically do it? Like I mentioned, marathons. People come from other states, other countries to run the New York Marathon, the Boston Marathon, Chicago Marathon. They travel, overseas, the London Marathon, Germany's Marathon. But how many people make this an event specifically? They fly in just to do this.
You're right. I mean, as Pags says, you're talking about thousands
travel every year. Yeah.
That's it's awesome. It's awesome. I think it's. If I was younger, I might try. I don't know. I might jump in there. I don't know. I don't know if I would or not if I was like 20 years old.
Now the question's this. This is a great thing. I gave the example of football, getting hit over the middle of being on the bottom of the pile where they're poking you in the eye, they're breaking your fingers to get the ball, as opposed to one hard hit over the middle. And that was a good question because both Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat disagreed on which would be worse. Yes. But a good question's this. If someone has fear of these bulls, tremendous fear, and they also have tremendous fear of heights, what would be worse if they could only do one, skydive or do running of the bulls? What would I do? You know what I would probably do, knowing my personality? I would probably run with the bulls.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, rather than jump off a plane. I mean, I just don't like it up there parachuting. I would worry that the parachute would jam, something would go wrong. I don't want to be up there.
See, I would
jumping out of a plane. I would run with the darn bulls, Mac.
I would do opposite, but that's because of what I've done before in the past. I would definitely jump on a parachute because there are ways to survive and there's ways to there are different chutes and different things.
Ways to survive? You're going straight down, Mac. How are you surviving?
Right. Believe it or not, people have survived. They break tree limbs, or you're gonna get hurt, but you will survive.
I'm gonna wear a helmet and running in the bulls and body armor.
You aim for the woods, Jack. So you can actually fly. When you're coming down at a certain speed, you can actually propel your body in different directions. So if your parachute, for some reason, either one of them doesn't open, you kind of go towards the jungle and hope you can grab some limbs and trees and whatever else, monkeys or whatever, to break your fall. So that's what I would do.
Okay, listen, I mean, to each his own there.
Yes,
but I would take my chance with the bulls.
I don't know.
That's just me out of the two. You know, we got to put it to other, guests when they come on.
Yes,
if they haven't done either one and can only do one, which they would do.
Would
so,
Byron,
we're kind of split on this.
Would Byron run with the bulls?
Byron would run. Byron would base it, especially when he was a young man.
Yeah.
Because the one thing Byron can do, I mean, he could run.
Yeah,
when he was a player. I mean, he didn't have the best hands. He didn't have the best concentration always. But one thing Byron could do, Byron could run like a deer.
Right.
So he would be good at running with the bulls. Byron would be no joke. Jeffcoat would be another mad. I think Jeffcoat should skydive because Jeffcoat was kind of a lumbering guy as a player. Right. He just had a knack of somehow he was able to get to the quarterback. I don't know how he got 107 sacks in his career to be in the 100-sack club, but Jeffcoat was smart. He had great technique.
Right.
I don't know. I wouldn't chance it if I were Jim running with the bulls.
I think Jim might be able to wrestle a little bit, Jack.
Yeah, Jim might stop and want to take the bulls on.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, that might be his undoing.
That's what I would be worried about. That Jim would take the bull by the horns, literally, and start.
Yeah. Jim, he's like, man. Listen, you hear the term that was attributed to Jim. Bull rushing the quarterback. What does that mean, bull rushing? And now that we're talking about running with the bulls. Guys like Jeffcoat love that term. Oh, I'm going to bull rush him. What do they mean by bull rush him?
I guess you're going to take him by the horns and go through. And Pags is over you right now, all over you. He said the same things he said about you, Jack. You didn't have good hands for pocket.
No, I had good hands.
So you started writing about it.
Not true. I had no heart in the long run. That was my the biggest insult you could give someone is saying they had no heart. I don't go for that. I admitted it. I didn't have the heart for the long, grueling fights, the punishment that would add up over the years. So
that's good. That's good. So Jack, we're gonna close her down. We got Keith Angle coming on right after us with his TGI sports thing going on. So one of the three shows anyway. I think which show do we got coming on? Is this college? It might be college. It might be with Carlos because I think Carlos came in later. And whatever it is, he's got a great show, folks. So tune in, stay on Roku here. Keith will be up in a few. Jack, this has been awesome. This is one of the funnest shows I think we've ever done, especially your commentary. I know Pags could talk about it, but I wanted to hear what you had to say because you're very quick and you're very smart with your comments and comebacks.
I don't know what they're going to ask me as someone who didn't see the show today, who normally watches. Well, what did you talk about? What did you analyze, Jack? And I'll say I analyzed the running with the Bulls.
And you'll be an instant celebrity.
Who would have known?
Celebrity. It's a celebrity. Folks.
Running with the Bulls.
Thank you.
There was a lot of bull that went on in the show.
There
today.
was.
That's what I'm going to say. We talked a lot of bull.
Yes, we did.
And I'd be telling the truth. And
yes, you would. Yes, you would.
I hope in only one way, but
Yes, exactly. So tomorrow, folks, I got an emergency thing. Hopefully, Pags can fill in for me here on the show, and Jack Pags and whoever else they got the normal crew that comes in on Friday. Hopefully, they'll all be there. It's a great show. Pags and Jack do an incredible job. So tune it in and check it out. I know I'll be watching from where I'm at. And thank you again for tuning in. We love the views and the comments. You all have a great day.